Check 1, 2. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And what a night. Are you tired? Are you awake? Long night, and we're going to talk about all of it. We received so many comments from viewers, and I had to kind of pick some of the best. A lot of people doing a live stream, if you will, throughout the whole debate. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So thank you. And we're going to go through some of what you had to say during the debate. We also are going to talk. Listen, I don't like talking about this stuff any more than you, but it does have political implications, which is Taylor Swift endorsing, after the debate, endorsing Kamala Harris for president. We'll talk a little bit about that. Hopefully, we have an opportunity to get to Governor Cuomo testifying yesterday. Wow. Elise Stefanik hitting it out of the park. So many others really holding Cuomo's feet to the fire. I'm hoping to be able to save a little bit of time for that. But as always, you see the number on the bottom of your screen. You can weigh in at any time. Let's go through comments. Some of these happening during the debate, so keep that in mind, from various viewers. Frank, this is disturbing. Neither candidate deserves my vote, said one viewer. Another viewer, well, it's 10:30 p.m., and I'm fairly certain that if I continue to watch this farce, I may possibly stroke out. I've heard more lies than I can take, and the moderators, in my opinion, are very unfair. More than once, they shut Trump down because, quote, they have a lot of issues to discuss, end quote. But it didn't apply to Harris and the border issue, which should have been key topic for Harris to address. She largely dodged, and Muir didn't bring her back to answer. I don't believe that she wasn't privy to the questions in advance, just my 2 cents. There is a lot of pushback, a lot of anger at the moderators and ABC. Yes, they fact check in real time Trump 7 times. Kamala Harris 0, even though there was clear outright lies such as the find people on both sides hoax, those types of things. Never once doing what they did to Trump. And it was very interesting watching them because it reminded me, the moderators reminded me of when I watched a Sunday morning show with J.D. Vance or Tom Cotton. Republicans have almost just accepted the fact that the host, or in this case a moderator, is going to either lie or not call out the other side and just move on. And that's very frustrating for viewers that want to see a free, fair debate. That's not what we saw. Many calling it 3-on-1, which I think is a fair assessment. Whether it was a live fact check, whether it was not, going back and asking Trump a question you didn't answer. But if you think about the one question where they asked Kamala Harris about her flip-flopping through the years, there was no substance, no a real answer to that. And that was one that would have been a clear cut if the moderators were fair across the board, would have said, Vice President, you didn't answer the question. What about this issue? What about that issue? Letting them go away. Letting the question go away, I should say. But I'm going to continue with this because we're going to be interjecting quite a bit throughout the morning. Whoa, what happened to muted mics? Yeah, that was kind of interesting, wasn't it? That's a very good point. Kamala is getting her you-know-what kicked because of lies and no real substance. President Trump is also keeping himself under a fair amount of control. I myself am not so reserved. I understand. I will say that I feel that Trump took the bait on a few issues, that he dove into territory that was, in my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree, was not necessary, was not helpful to further his cause. There's a few times where I thought, it's an hour and a half. Now, Harris is calling for a second debate, but even the announcers before, the pundits before the debate were saying this is most likely the only debate. So there was times in my way of thinking that there's only an hour and a half. Let's not waste time getting down certain rabbit holes. Anyway, continuing. Another viewer. My opinion is biased, but I think Trump won fair and square. And I'm going to go through these. I can't remember who was a repeat person who commentated, who added their analysis. So I believe this is a different viewer. But Harris never answered the question about leaving the Trump-Chinese tariffs on. They kept asking Trump if he would veto Roe v. Wade because they didn't get the answer they wanted. Good point. Trump clearly said the decision has been returned to the states like Congress wanted for years, so he would never have to veto it because it would never come up to his vote because Congress would never put it through. Yes, very much so. Another comment, I think Trump's closing statement was great. And if you're just joining us, if you're just waking up this morning, good for you because it was a long night. But if you're just joining us, we're reading comments from viewers from throughout the night. Trump did have a solid closing statement. I agree. I think CNN actually did a better job. ABC showed heavy bias. I agree. I don't think CNN was perfect by any means, but I do think CNN did far and away a much better job in the debate moderation than they did. I don't know if that's the right word, with the moderators than ABC did. Very clearly biased. As so much so that there was times when liberal commentators, and I have that somewhere in the stack of paperwork that I had this morning, cheering them on as if they're part of the team. And I think last night they were part of the Democrat team. Continuing. Harris was well prepared, but I don't think it changed anything in the voters' eyes. That's a fair assessment. She was well prepared. You could see some of the things that they rehearsed over and over again, such as the split screen. They saw how disastrous the split screen was for Biden. So she would do the hold the hand on the chin thing. There's quite a few other, little ways that she got around the mics being muted. But back to that viewer's point, when they were muted, and that's one of the things I've always thought was interesting when they talked about the muted mics, because if a candidate says something, either candidate says something loud enough, it's still going to be picked up on the other mic. That's how mics work. But anyway, continuing. Harris seemed robotic, said one viewer, and not very personable to me. I would have liked Trump to have asked Harris who has actually been running the country. Yeah, I find this in every debate, but specifically perhaps more so with Trump, where there's so many things you want him to ask or say or follow up on. And that's why sometimes when he gets down these rabbit holes, it does get frustrating. Continuing. I really don't think they will debate again. Yeah, I didn't think they were going to debate the first time. I've been wrong on that over and over again, so I'll let you decide on that. I think right now the Democrats are relieved that she made it through and that they're probably popping champagne over how well they think she did. Yeah, this was by far and away easy enough to let her keep coasting to Election Day, to say, look at that amazing performance. I don't know if you stayed up. I didn't for very long, maybe a half an hour, to watch from what I would consider the more biased outlets like ABC. And to see what the commentators had to say. Yes, it was historic. She came through when she needed to, not the Harris of 2019, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, I think they are relieved. I think they're happy with her performance. Continuing, I also liked when Trump blamed her for ousting Joe Biden and getting 0 votes for a nomination. There's an example where I would have liked to hit a little bit more on that even. Because if you look, the moderators got away from that right away. So one time I don't think was enough, because I know this sounds maybe naive on my part, but you realize some people don't realize the importance of that she never received a single vote to be where she is today and never had that scrutiny other than in 2019 where she had the primary but didn't make it through to even 2020 to Iowa. So I think hitting that point home does makes some people pause and go, that's right. I mean, she hasn't really been scrutinized, and she's not doing interviews, and this is really the first opportunity I've had to see of her. And even at the beginning, the pundits saying similar, that they haven't really, that the American people haven't really had a chance to understand her policies and her talking points. And how frustrating was that when she kept talking about her policies and her priorities when there really are none? We talked about it yesterday. Pardon me, horse, stayed up too late. We talked about it yesterday where they finally, after 50 days, posted on their website their policies, but they're generalities. They're generic, just like many of the answers last night. No real substance. And even some that believe that Harris won easily last night, saying, well, there wasn't a lot of substance, though, from Harris, but she did enough and got Trump angry enough. Now, Trump did speak 5 minutes longer than Harris during the first presidential debate. Donald Trump spoke for 42 minutes and 52 seconds. Vice President Kamala Harris spoke for 37 minutes and 36 seconds, for whatever that's worth. Just giving you all the facts here on Frankly Speaking this morning. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some more of your comments, but also the takeaways from outlets like CNN, from Fox. I think one of the biggest takeaways, and there's a lot of op-eds this morning, I think, and I know we have many viewers here because I see the comments that are not Trump fans or are not, or maybe, I don't know if they're Harris fans, I don't know. But I'm not sure, trying to put on your cap of what it would it be like to be a Democrat. Can you look at that, the moderators, and look at how it was handled last night and feel that it was fair? I think that's a question I just don't know the answer to. I mean, I think if you read some of the comments from the left that I've been reading, they believe that everything what Trump says is a lie, so they want it fact checked. Well, that's fine, but don't you want it? I do want it fact checked then when Harris misleads, and that's how they put it. It's so funny because we're not going to be able to get to all of it. Trust me, I think it's like 20 pages. But CNN does their fact check, and it's always Trump says false claim, and then Harris, it's misleading, needs context. So yes, this was never said, but Harris's point is well-meaning, and I mean it is. The bias is no longer hidden; it hasn't been hidden for years. And this is one of the problems, and I know if Trump doesn't take an ABC debate or a CNN debate, then there's really no other outlets because Harris isn't going to go to Fox. But is there a point to be made that Republicans, and this will be after Trump as well, isn't there a point to be made that if they're not willing to do Fox, then why should Trump go to outlets that have called him fascist, that have attacked him his whole career? Because watching last night was very frustrating because it did feel like it was 3-on-1. So we'll keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. We're just getting warmed up. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Hustleton's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hustleton's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs, deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hustleton's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hustleton's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hustleton's.
I have diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell. I take once daily Jardians at each day's start. As time went on, it was easy to see I'm lowering my A1C.
Jardiance works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar. And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardiance can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too.
Serious side effects may include ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to sudden worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of infection in your legs or feet. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Jardiance is really swell, the little pill with a big story to tell.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. One thing that is important to remember as we talk so much about the debate today, that it is the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. Don't forget that. That's an important thing. I know there's a lot going on in the world, but we cannot forget that. And one way to not forget that is to attend the First Responders Park in Gang Mills today at 11 for that ceremony. I hope to see you there. And we'll be talking about that throughout the morning. A comment from a viewer. I agree. He shouldn't have brought up about the pets being eaten. I know there's a few things, and that's what I'm talking about with the rabbit hole, where I think it gets frustrating because it is a precious amount of time where the media can now focus on that. They can now focus on when race issues came up and not focus on substance. Which the substance of the matter is that Kamala Harris offered no real substance. Doesn't matter now, as I've been saying for a month or longer. They just need to get her across the finish line. And last night's performance, in my opinion, helps get her across the finish line in their mind. The coverage is now focused on Trump and these statements that he made, and not Harris and her lack of policies and lack of proposals. But CNN's takeaways kind of reiterate this point, kind of prove the point. A turning point is when Harris jabs Trump over the size of his rally crowds. Yeah, that seemed to throw him off a little bit. I don't think that was his, I mean, they're saying it's a turning point. I don't know. That was just kind of typical Trump. I didn't really take an opinion on that one way or the other. I thought it was kind of unnecessary for him to get in that back and forth, but that was what it was. Trump traffics in conspiracy theories. See, there's to the point we were making, and you know what they're talking about, the pets being eaten and the like. And it got into a little bit of the election. And obviously they were going to bring up January 6th. They did bring up January 6th. He took the bait to go in. And whatever you think about that, I'm just saying this is time during the debate that could have been spent on Kamala Harris, how she got here, her policies, her past positions. But instead, Trump, for lack of a better term, took the bait. Now, you can disagree with me, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. But I think that's been relitigated now for lack of a better term. Now, I don't mean legally, but just that term for 4 years now. And I just don't know if last night was the time to dive back in. But continuing. Fierce argument over abortion is a key issue to both candidates. I will say, as they talk about Trump pushing conspiracy theories, and we talk about the fact check, where Trump was fact checked 7 times by the moderators and 0 times for Harris. Why did they not fact check her on Project 2025? Trying to tie Trump to that when, again, and you won't see this in any of these takeaways, at least not from anyone but Fox maybe. Why was that not fact checked in real time? Why is it only Trump and Republicans get that fact check in real time? I mean, I think that's, at this point, a very, very fair question. Because after you see it last night, you go, wait, you don't stop her about 2025 or about Charlottesville or about not answering the questions on her flip-flops? But Trump can be called on anything that they have in their back pocket, ready to pounce. Harris cast Trump as out for himself, they say, is a takeaway. The handshake set the tone, I guess. Yeah, that was... She went right over, wanted that handshake. Okay. Trump's comments about Harris's race and past controversies are under the microscope. Next up, Trump and Harris dig their heels in on major global flashpoints. At one point, Trump saying that Harris hates Israel and hates Arabs. You recall that part in the debate if you watched it. And I'm not going to get into, well, that's all the takeaways. That's plenty. That's from CNN. I'm going to try not to get into all the quotes. We will have some certain quotes here. I can tell already we're going to run late this morning. But let's take a look at the top 5 moments during the Trump-Harris presidential debate from Fox News. So we just gave you CNN. Well, first we started the program with viewers. Then we went to CNN. Now we look at Fox News because we get all perspectives, all sides. One key moment to Fox was when Trump says he wanted to send Harris a MAGA hat because he claimed the vice president has adopted his political philosophy on the campaign trail. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's gone to my philosophy now. There's a point there. I mean, look, even no tax on tips, right? Trump says he probably took a bullet to the head because of Biden-Harris rhetoric. That was, I think, an important point from Trump, because remember, in the media, that was one of the ones where the moderators cut him off because they don't want to reference back to the assassination attempt. They don't want to show that picture and talk about that powerful, iconic moment. But there is a point, as a party that always talks about rhetoric, which is the Democrat Party. I think it was very important for Trump to make that point, and I thought it was an important point that was made. This is one that's weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with the fake Russia investigation that went nowhere. But there's so many other examples. And the lawfare part of the debate, that was another one where it didn't go far enough, in my opinion. Very much of this was the things that went too far, meaning time-wise and focus, were not what I thought. And what do I know? I'm not running for president, but they were not the topics that I would like to see more response on. And the threat to democracy wasn't just about Russia. Obviously, you could talk about the lawfare. You could talk about the system that put Kamala in there with no votes. But continuing, Harris says she is not Joe Biden. The vice president told moderators, clearly, I am not Joe Biden. I thought that was interesting, and I don't think that was a good look for Harris on that one. Where I'm not Joe Biden. I mean, I guess at this point, Joe Biden just used to being insulted. Whatever anybody has to do to kind of step on him to boost themselves up. So, but I will also, and I posed this question to anybody that watched the debate last night. Do you think Trump focused too much on Biden? Now, I don't mean his policies and what kind of the failures that we've seen the last 3.5 years. I think that was important. But it's got to be tied in with Harris, and sometimes it felt like it was more just focused on Biden. I found that to be frustrating. Okay, continuing. Harris stands by the administration's Afghanistan withdrawal despite criticism that was a very powerful moment as well. She said, well, I will tell you, I agree with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. And finally, Trump uses famous Harris line against her when he said, wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Then he said something like, sound familiar? Because the speculation was that she was going to try to do that at some point, right? So he kind of beat her to the punch. We've got other takeaways on this, but again, most importantly, it's your takeaways. What did you think last night? I think it was enough, as kind of predicted here on the program yesterday and throughout the last couple of weeks. It was enough for the media to continue to prop her up. We'll see stories this week and next week about how she's got the momentum back, that she is, well, I mean, if you look at Drudge this morning, I mean, you would think that Trump's political career is over. They were given enough to focus on that momentum, hence the reason why I don't think for a moment this wasn't so pre-planned, that why Taylor Swift endorsed right after the debate. It's to say, wow, things are really shifting. First, she wins the debate. Second, Taylor Swift endorses her. And you can laugh at the Taylor Swift thing all you want, but it has political ramifications. It's that simple, unfortunately, in today's culture. But it's just like when Biden endorses Harris after he drops out, and then all the big money goes to Harris, and the floodgates open, she gets all that money. It's so that the momentum starts. And in this case, the momentum continues. So we'll talk more about it, but we do have to take that break. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Trust your health to Dr. Joshua Henches at Watkins Glen Family Dentistry. Buffalo graduate and member of the American and New York Dental Associations, Dr. Henches offers treatment in all areas of general dentistry, including same-day crowns, implants, root canals, oral surgery, and Sure Smile orthodontics. Trust Dr. Henches and his staff for the best dental care in the region. Visit our office at 703 South Decatur Street in Watkins Glen, or visit us online at watkinsglenfamilydentistry.com.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to see the difference you can make around you. With Capella University's game-changing FlexPath format, set your own deadlines and access coursework anytime. Imagine your future differently with Capella University.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
It's a season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my number one goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Ken has sent in his commentary, and I appreciate that, Ken, and I'm going to read it, but in a little bit. We're going to keep people hooked because Ken has been doing the dirty work lately, watching the DNC, and now the debate. We're going to take a look at what he had to say in just a little bit. First, the takeaways of the debate, and I know we're going through this, and I'm going to go through it quickly, but you have to look what they're all saying because, remember, they have less than 2 months to run this thing out. By them, I mean the Harris campaign, but also the media, who is in clear, as you saw from the moderators last night, in clear favor of the Harris-Walz ticket. All right, Harris sets trap, and Trump leapt into them. Yeah, this is from the New York Times, but I don't disagree with that. I don't. Next, Trump played defense on his record. Not really on his record. I mean, I guess, but with what Harris was attacking him on. Well, Harris sees the advantage on abortion. Well, they were going to say that no matter what. You expect that. They had that part written before the debate even happened. Trump didn't hide his disdain of Harris. Harris missed some opportunities. Oh, let's see what the New York Times has to say about that. One of Mr. Trump's few memorable lines, even if it came off a bit canned, was when he mocked Miss Harris for the lack of detail in her agenda. She copied Biden's plan. It's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. In her response, Ms. Harris bored into Trump's agenda rather than her own. It was typical of a debate in which she appeared most at ease talking about Trump rather than fleshing out her own plans. Well, she does not have plans. The only plans she had were these basically giveaways. I plan on giving this money away. I plan on giving that money away. Where we know it won't come to fruition. So, again, and the moderators did not hold her to account when it came to her flip-flopping on fracking, etc. Trump missed Biden, meaning he brought up Biden a lot. I would agree with that. There's times where I thought, okay, now tie this into Harris, and it didn't happen. It was very much in the mindset, and I don't really blame Trump for this. You prepare yourself for years to run against Biden, and then to everybody's surprise, I guess, Biden's no longer the nominee, even though that's who the people voted for. The nominee is now Harris. So it does throw you off your game a little bit. But I thought maybe the focus was a little bit too much on Biden. A lot of people are talking about the I'm talking now, sound familiar. What did you think? I thought that was an interesting. I kind of like that. There's a few little jabs by Trump that I think landed. Or like when he said, that's just a soundbite, they gave her that. So again, it was, as this headline reads from the New York Post, Trump debate performance panned, that by the media, of course. Well-prepared or well-prepped Harris gets help from ABC moderators 3-on-1. Yeah, I would agree that Harris rattled him, and that she was well-prepared. A lot of people are saying that the moderators were how do I want to word it? They were part of the team with Harris that were kind of goading him into being Trump, to being that kind of angry, I don't know if on the defense is the right term, but ready to defend like the crowd size, ready to go down the rabbit holes, whatever you think about those topics that he goes down. And you may say there's a very valid reason to hear what he has to say on that. I just go back to the fact that we've got an hour and a half, came out closer to about an hour 45, but hour and a half to hear where Harris stands. And unfortunately, we did not get that. We got her attacking Trump, and you got the moderators attacking Trump. According to CNN, a firm 63%, this goes back to what I'm saying about the momentum now, a firm 63% of watchers picked Harris, eclipsing the 37% who felt Trump won. This is the kind of things that they pile on now. So she'll have another week, 2 weeks of positive coverage about her momentum, how she's, and add on top of that, yesterday's Taylor Swift endorsement, and it is a couple of weeks of smooth sailing at a time where Trump doesn't have a couple of weeks. Now, to some of the viewers' points and to some of the commentators' points, people know who Trump is. So does it really move the needle one way or the other? Harris supporters support Harris. Trump supporters support Trump. What did it do for the few that are undecided? That's, I think, the billion-dollar question. Victor Nava says that Kamala Harris's dismissive laugh was on full display in the first presidential debate. Not to the extent that we've seen in the past, but I understand what they're saying. She had definitely prepared for the split screen, for how to... I personally, it comes off hokey to me, corny to me, the whole... that thing that she was doing. But to some people, that is, that's no different than the Hope poster during the Obama year when he ran the first time. It's showing some kind of strength. To me, as someone who's watched way too many debates in their life and has been engulfed in politics way too many years of his life, to me, it was so canned, it was so practiced that those things don't impress me. It's no different when you see some line from a Republican either. You don't see it from Trump because you never really know what line you're going to get from him. But in that case, it just looked over-prepared and not too... I don't know, it seemed like high school debate 101, learning something new and just using it over and over again. But anyway, Harris has for years faced criticism of her uproarious laughter, with detractors at times questioning whether it's a genuine expression. A prominent Democrat told the New York Post following Biden's dismal debate, which set in motion his retirement, that Harris would be a poor pick to replace him due to that habit. I didn't see too much of that. Yeah, she had some eye rolling, tilting her chin up and down, kind of the laugh. She did a time when she actually gave the thumbs down. I think the split screen hurt Biden so much that Harris had to be prepared in some way. and not have it look as if she's scared or nervous. I will say at first, I've been clearing my voice and my throat all morning, but I thought that was interesting. It seemed like, and I totally get it. This is really her biggest performance of her career, where she did, to me, seem nervous, where she was having kind of not warbly, I don't know what word you would use for her voice. That was what I noticed at first. That's not a criticism. That was just something I thought was very noticeable. Another big takeaway that some people are mentioning this morning about Trump is when he said he took a bullet to the head thanks to the Democrat rhetoric during the presidential debate with Harris. That was a point that I think needed to be made. Now, that's not one that I think was going down the rabbit hole. I think that was one that was important to be made because the media is trying to kind of erase that memory from people, that iconic photo and what happened. Now, when they fact check it, they're saying there's no evidence that this shooter had any political motive or something like that. That's how ridiculous and outlandish the fact-checking has become. That he can't mention his assassination attempt, the assassination attempt made against him, when it comes to the rhetoric that we've been hearing since he came down the escalator. I mean, so using the term rhetoric and saying threats of violence and stuff like that is only okay if you're a Democrat. If you're a Republican that also happen to be have an assassination attempt against them, that's drawing a line and needs to be fact-checked. I mean, it is embarrassing when you read the fact checks or when you watch, oh my gosh, I'm running late, or when you see it live, as you did during the debate last night, 7-0, meaning 7 live fact checks against Trump, 0 against Harris, though there was prime opportunity for Harris, even right from the jump when she brought up Project 2025. But we got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
You can tear your old statements and bills and simply toss those old bottles of pills. But thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone. Look, an identity thief can use simple information to get access to your credit card. Then you're responsible for the bills. But ID Police permanently prints a unique encryption graphic that makes it impossible to read through, both on the front and through the back, even if the paper is held up to the light. And it works on all forms of paper, matte or glossy. Paper shredders are slow and always jam, but roll with ID Police and you're in control. Watch again. Here's a bank statement with your name and account number. Now, one easy roll and all your personal information is blocked. Name and address? Blocked. Credit card number? Blocked. Phone, electricity, and gas bill. Now they're all safe to toss in the trash. So relax. Even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. And those applications or pre-approved checks make you vulnerable too. So block it out before you throw it out. And thwart any thief with the ID Police. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99. And get free shipping too. That's right, free shipping. This offer is not available on Amazon, but it is available online or on the phone. So call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Take control with ID Police on patrol. Order now.
Call 1-800-731-2964. That's 1-800-731-2964 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-731-2964 now.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We have so many comments coming in, so let's get to them. And right now, we will read Ken's as well. How's that? Ken's been working hard, being an analyst for Frankly Speaking, so that will be the last one up. But first, right before the debate, I remember them saying that they were trying to calm her down in reference to, and this isn't a knock on her. I would be the same way. This is the biggest performance of Kamala Harris's life. And she knows if she does even okay, it could get her through to the election with no other real like interviews or press conferences. So of course she's nervous, and she's got that little warble or that little dry mouth. Maybe that's the term I want to use when she was speaking. That was just an observation. So I didn't, of course, mean to in any way judge her on that, because trust me, I would be the same way. That was just an observation. Okay. Comment from a different viewer. Trump should not have said that the Democrats want to kill a born baby. That gave them, the moderators, more so probably than Harris, ammunition, didn't it? That was when the fact-checking really went into hyperdrive. Next up, if Trump doesn't debate again and knock it out of the park, I'm afraid the undecided and uninformed voters will vote for Harris. So many missed opportunities, in my opinion. I tend to agree. When I say missed opportunities, listen, I'm always going to watch the debate, and it doesn't matter what it is where you say, oh, I wish he would have brought up that. Or, boy, here's an opportunity to say that. And that's just human nature. But in this instances, and let's face it, we have viewers commenting throughout the whole show and during the debate last night, sending in comments, who have said the same thing. Get away from this topic and focus on the lack of policies and the lack of proposals from Harris. So that was a frustrating point to me, because this just gave the media fodder to prop her up for at least 2 weeks in the media cycle, and to focus entirely on him and the comments about eating pets and whatever you think about those topics. Again, maybe you say these need to be brought to the forefront. Maybe they do. I don't know if potentially the only debate between the presidential candidates is the time to use for that topic. You have an hour and a half, maybe a little over, to make your points, and it could be your only time. And we went down some rabbit holes yesterday. And I don't know, CNN said the turning point was when Harris brought up his rallies. And I know many people are saying after, wow, Hillary couldn't think of ways to go after him, to really get under his skin like that, and Biden either, but Harris did it. It was brilliant. That might have been the turning point when you really started to get angry. There may be something said about that, but he seemed prone to bringing up points that many in his base already know, right? And you can say, well, he's got to reach people